Hi everyone, welcome to the FYNI Future of Nursing podcast. My name is Damilare Arowolo. I'm a registered nurse and I welcome you specially to this very edition. In this edition, I have someone whom I respect so much, someone who I dare to call a mentor, right? And she's someone who is doing amazingly well in this field of nursing. And I won't be doing the introduction myself because she's here. Why would I need to introduce her, right? So, welcome, Esther. Can you please introduce yourself to us?
All right, thank you so much for having me. It's actually a great opportunity to be here. My name is Esther Ilesanmi. I'm a nurse and I currently work with International Organization for Migration in Nigeria. I'm also like a researcher, like I do a little bit of research. So basically, I'm a nurse researcher and I'm also into public health aspect of nursing. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I must tell you that you are trying to be modest with that little bit of research, right? Because I am somebody who have followed you right from school, and by the way, we attended the same school, so I know you from right. So I see your works, and I see that you've been publishing even in high impact journals. I remember clearly that when we finished our final year in school, your work was nominated for some of those researches that was to be published. I'm not sure how that went, but it was such a great one. So I can see your passion is being from day one, right? But before we go on to research and to some of the recent things you have been doing, let's go back to the start, the origin. For me, I say nursing found me because I never chose nursing. How did it happen for you? How did it happen for you?
All right, thank you so much for that question. So actually for me, I selected nursing right from time, and what really influenced my decision was where I grew up. I know people talk about where they grew up as a factor for what they are doing, but yeah, basically it worked for me too. I grew up in a community whereby I see people die and they all attribute everything to spirituality and all. So I was wondering like what was happening and all. So I actually developed interest in caring for people, helping people to prevent diseases and all. So I was able to like bring everything together to studying nursing, and I actually got to know that studying nursing and doing the course will help me to also promote people's health and also prevent diseases. So I put in for a degree program at Ladoke Akitola University of Technology. That's a great school, and degree gave me nursing and JAMB also gave me nursing. That was the start of it for me. And right from 100 level, I knew what I wanted to do with nursing, right? Like I said earlier, there were some things that actually influenced my decision. So I still capitalize on that and see how best to address them. So I actually developed this passion for the preventive aspect of nursing, which is over curative. Like there is curative aspect of nursing and there's preventive aspect of nursing. So I have passion for preventive aspect of nursing, and after discovering this, I've gotten to realize that when you have clarity, you'll be able to move at an higher speed, and also it will further influence the steps that you take, the actions that you take, and every other thing like that. So
Amazing.
the fact that so
yeah, amazing. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Sorry to cut you in, but I don't want us to talk too far. Before I pick on some of the things you said, you began to see a problem from very early on, and I think it's a very good motivation for coming into nursing. While I do not in any way undermine the impact of finances, because a lot of people are coming into nursing today because it can give you a stable life generally, but like you, you came in because you saw a problem and you feel you can be a part of solving that problem, which is very, very important. Thank you again for that. So let's talk more about how you discovered yourself. You started talking about preventive. I mean, that was very early on. 100 level students should be thinking of how to pass all the anatomy, physiology, and everything. But you're already thinking out of the box. How did it all start? I mean, on that note, how did you begin to explore to know that there is something called the preventive aspect of nursing and care that I can venture into in the later future, in the later part of my life?
Yeah, so this all boils down to research, not the big context of research. It all boils down to you going online to search about or to like to search about what you're interested in. So for me, I actually went online. I already had a good knowledge of what I want to do, which was like the preventive aspect of nursing. I want to help people with their health, promote health, advance people's health, population health, and every other thing. So the next thing I was able to do, like the next thing I did was to go online and read about it. I started taking courses on platforms like Coursera, EDX. In case you're interested, you can just check them out. So I started reading articles. I started reading blogs about health. Those were the places where I was able to like pick preventive aspect of nursing and curative aspect of nursing. So after knowing that, okay, this is the preventive aspect I want to go into, I started picking courses that are related, that can actually further deepen my understanding of this aspect of nursing. Despite the fact that I wanted the preventive aspect, I did not ditch out the curative aspect because they all work concurrently, right? And that's why we are nurses. You can't separate preventive from curative. It has to go together. So I started building myself. As at my 100 level, I'd already started taking courses on health system strengthening. Started taking courses on health promotion. Started taking courses on the role of nurses in universal health coverage and every other thing. Like, I was just looking for a common ground for my passion, right? Like I said, I already know what I wanted to do, but I needed to gain more knowledge so that I'll be able to know how best to channel my energy and my action. You understand what I'm trying to say? So basically, it was from learning online, taking courses, reading blogs and articles, watching videos and every other thing. So I was able to like differentiate what I wanted to do at that time.
Amazing. This is really interesting because, like I said, we attended the same school, and I knew how troublous, how much of a struggle it was for us to even manage to study our our schoolwork. And then this is you exploring beyond the confines of your academic books. Anatomy was a whole lot. Physiology was there. They're talking about the fundamentals of nursing and the other medical surgical nursing, but yet you still had time to explore your areas of passion and to develop yourself in those areas. Were you at any time afraid that building your capacity in the areas of your passion will interfere with your academic pursuits? Because I need to mention this. She graduated as one of the best in my class. So, just talk us through that first of all.
Okay, so like all these things, like it boils down to time management. It boils down to you being able to prioritize, where like prioritization, know what to do per time, and I did not allow other things I was doing. Like he said, I was actually more of a person, like I go to classes, I also attend conferences, I go for other activities, volunteering, I take online courses, I do a lot of things at the same time. I did not allow it to affect my activity because I believe my undergraduate study was my primary assignment. So anytime I have to just dish or probably set aside some things so I can attend to my primary assignment, I do that. And when it comes to time management and prioritization, I actually put my school deadline, my school reading, and every other thing above all the other activities I'm doing. I know all these things are attached to the fact that I'm still a nursing student. If I'm out of nursing school, if I'm in another department, or I'm not able to continue, then I might not be able to fulfill that dream. So I just have to prioritize well. So that was actually what worked for me: time management and prioritization. I remember back then when I was in 100 level, if I tell my roommate that I'm leaving this house by 8 o'clock, if she should wait till 8:05, she will meet me on the way. Like, I'm not going to wait because I just have to get things done. Like, I've already planned my time by 8 o'clock. That was actually in 100 level, at the time. I just like check that aspect of my schedule because sometimes things don't really work the way you plan it. But yes, as much as possible, I try to manage my time because we only have 24 hours. The same 24 hours that $10 has is the same 24 hours that we have, and people still get things done within that same hour. So that's just it for me. I was conscious of the time. I was trying to do things according to the way I've scheduled. Like today now, I might have written in my schedule that okay, today I'm going to the library to read for 4 hours. So when it is time, or I might write it to my schedule that, okay, in between classes, if the lecturer is not around, I'm going to carry my book and go to the library. And it's not just going to the library. I'm going to the library to read 2 topics. And like that really guide my reading. It won't be like I'll just go to the library and start reading 1 page for 1 hour or something. So I know I'm reading 2 topics, so I have to go at that speed. So that was actually what worked for me, and the grace of God too. Like, and I'm a child of God, and the Holy Spirit has always been there for me. I remember days that we have exams and I would just sit down, maybe after reading, try to sleep so I can go to class, and the Holy Spirit will say, read this topic, read this, and I'll read. That will be what will come out in the exam. You get. So at a point, my friends had to tell me that, Esther, please, when the Holy Spirit is telling you, please tell us to start. You can just try and check before we leave. You understand? Yeah. So there's a place of God, and He has actually been faithful, and He has been there to guide and direct. So you can't take that out. Yes, thank you.
Makes sense, because I, as we were speaking, I was remembering those days in school where I see you're always carrying your book. I'm like, hey, I don't want to say we are not the serious type, but I mean, it's been obvious that you had something pushing you, and it was very, very, very obvious. And at the end of the day, it even showed in the outcome. You got some best student, I think best student in research, if I'm not right. So amazing stuff. Now, I would have loved us to keep on that note, but I just want us to quickly take a quick leap. I remember in school too, you had some times where you started running some projects. I remember the Flow project, amazing project, going into the community to educate people. I mean, one of those times we went out together and I was just seeing the future, and I was like, I know something great is coming about this girl. Flow project. How did you begin to think about all of this? You're a student. Like we said, your primary assignment, and you also are leader to that fact that your primary assignment is to be a student and to pass. Planning programs, thinking of helping other people. How did it match with your own primary assignment? Where did you get the resources from? How did you get even the motivation when all of everything around is seeming like, it's impossible to even think outside of yourself? Everybody is thinking myself. Talk us through that quickly.
All right, so let me start from the motivation aspect of it. Like I said earlier, I had the reason why I wanted to study nursing, right? And that's like a driving force for me. And it's actually like a big thing for me. I really want to help people, especially the vulnerable population, people that are underserved communities and every other thing. So planning a project for those people is something very easy for me. Yes, the whole process was a bit tedious. I think we were part of it, and we needed to come up with funding. We needed to call people on board to help us with the materials and every other thing, and it was a whole lot. But like I said, time management actually really helped, and being able to prioritize what you want to do per time. So talking about the funding, this is where good networking comes in. When you have when you want to grow in your career, I will actually advise you to have network of friends or people of the same ambition and vision. You get people that actually have interest in what you're doing, so that you guys can all move together. And this really helped me in my journey. And I'm looking for how best to put this. So for the funding aspect, I volunteer for different organizations, like you said, and basically as at that time I met my mentor, the person of Dr. Ayomide. So Dr. Ayomide was actually there it was like a mentor and a sponsor for me, right? Because sometimes you meet a mentor, sometimes you meet a mentor and a sponsor in one person, then sometimes you meet them separately. So they have an organization, IOM Global Initiative. You can actually check that and probably show your interest if you want to volunteer with them. So I told him about the project. He saw the zeal, he saw the passion and every other thing. And one thing I've learned is that when people see the zeal and the passion, and they can see that you have a track record, you have actually been doing something, it will be very easy for them to support you. So it was the organization that actually provided the funding. Mine was to come up with the idea and the implementation as at that time. So basically it was my network. They say your network is your net worth. So that statement actually worked for me back then. So that was
makes sense. While you were speaking, it reminded me of my first adventure too into the social impact space. By the way, we are going to move into that in the next question. How I got into the social impact space was just seeing an opportunity to go out, enlighten people about the need for tobacco cessation and everything,
Yeah, I can
and to
remember
enlighten
that.
people about the tobacco laws. Yeah, and then I just did one, and then these people literally sponsored every other project
Yeah,
that I did, 2, 3, 4 more projects, and it was
yeah.
so amazing, even as a student, and it was
I
encouraging
remember.
because I began to see that, oh, so nothing is not just all about me doing the bedside. Yes,
Yeah,
bedside is not any way bad. I love the clinicals, right? I still have a very strong ambition to practice in the bedside, but I feel like I have many options, and yeah, I'm not just limited. It's not a dead end for me. That was so inspiring, and that's the same thing you're just sharing with us. You
yeah.
mentioned something that when they see your passion, when people see your passion and your track record, how did you start building your own track record?
Okay,
Because
so
you did not just start with the Flow project, I believe. Something you started from somewhere. Maybe I don't even know some stories. You might need to tell me some things to inspire me myself.
okay, so basically, like I said, you have people need to see your drive, your passion, and your track record. Nobody wants to. One thing I've learned is that nobody really wants to associate or probably help if you're not doing anything. But you'll be able to show them that, okay, this is what I've done in the past, this is what I'm doing now, and this is where I'm going to. They can actually call me from somewhere. So for me, I actually started with volunteering. I remember
Mm,
volunteering for there's this organization, there's this foundation I volunteered then for. It was on suicide prevention and some other things like
is
that.
that not
So
DTA Foundation?
what?
DTA Foundation, if I'm right.
Exactly, yeah. So this tape foundation was actually like a foundation, like it was like a background for me, my
Mm,
social work and everything. And I remember volunteering for them. We go to different places. And one thing I would say is that people volunteer, but people don't do strategic volunteering. Mine was a strategic one because I already know what I wanted. So when I'm volunteering for an organization, I'm not just there to carry bags, to carry this. Give me a position, give me a role that you want me to play.
fully. Mm,
Let me know what I want to do. And this will actually help you to when you're applying for some applications and some other things like that. It's not just about going there to say, oh, we are all volunteers. Good, we are all
mm,
volunteers. But what are you doing? In what capacity are you working from? Like,
mm,
which team are you working with? You understand what I'm trying to say? So
mm,
DTA really helped with that. No, I actually get engaged in their planning and every other thing. That really helped me during the Flow project too. Then after that, I volunteered for this organization too that was working on hepatitis prevention and all. Yeah, so
mm,
for that hepatitis prevention is more of the things, more of what I'm interested in because I'm actually interested in infectious disease, yeah, infectious
mm,
diseases, system strengthening, and some other things like that. So I actually like go to different communities with them, educate vulnerable populations like those in underserved communities, plan projects with them, get fully involved. There's not like I'm a volunteer, like I said, strategic volunteering. As much as I was showing myself in their programs, I was also learning,
mm,
building skills, program management skills, program planning, and every other thing. So that really
mm,
helped me when I was starting out with my own project and all. So that is basically it for me, actually.
mm, mm. So volunteering is not just about going to show up and
No,
carrying placards and posting on
no,
Instagram.
no,
You know,
it's more
I
than
picked
that,
something.
actually.
I picked something for what you said. Yeah, strategic volunteering,
Yeah.
which makes sense a lot of times because it's not as though many nurses are not volunteering. Programs upon programs and people show up, but what have you made out of it? What have you learned out of it? I think I remember somebody saying that you should never see opportunities to give yourself freely like that, like a volunteering opportunity, as though somebody is using you. It's actually
No.
because you are useful that somebody would actually call you to say, let's. So people should be willing to volunteer and much more be strategic with volunteering. I love the idea of strategic volunteering, especially because you are not just doing something to serve others, you're particularly doing something to as well benefit from the whole project, which is really nice. Thank you for talking about that. So let's move quickly into your project, the Flow project, and you have initially highlighted how you got your funding and all of that. But can you tell me just a little bit of your experience through that whole while running that project. How did it come out for you, and what were the things you took away from the entire project, running that project?
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, running a project can be a bit tedious, especially when you're a student. But yeah, for me, it actually helped my planning, implementation, like program planning and implementation skills, because I was able to like work with other people, and also people management skills. I was able to manage resources and humans too, like human resources management skills and all. And aside that, the fact that if you remember very well, I think we both went together to the community to engage the community leaders, talk to them about the program. So that is actually a basic, like an important, a pivotal aspect of public health, whereby you engage the community engagements, engaging the leaders to make the project sustainable or to increase participation and awareness. So basically, the project really exposed me to a lot of things, ranging from program planning and implementation, community engagement, human and resource management, a lot of that. And even the
Nice.
main thing is the fact that we're able to impact the life of those vulnerable children, especially the girl child that are then. We're able to tell them, talk about rape, how to prevent rape. We talked about menstrual hygiene and some other things. So it was a whole lot for me, actually. It was a whole lot for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so amazing. I remember now again how we were able to do this menstrual pad, and you
Yeah.
were talking about the science of it. It was so amazing that even from your young mind you could create something, which is something that I believe every nurse have that capacity. Innovation,
Yeah.
creativity is really inside of every one of us,
Yeah.
and we were able to bet that at that time. Amazing stuff. Thank you for leading the way, right? I wanted to connect it to your mentor. How your mentor supported you, funded it. How were you able to reach to the heart of your mentor? I mean,
All right.
people say everybody is always looking for a mentor. I can't count the number of times people have said, "You wanted to be my mentor," but
Exactly.
such solid mentorship that would yield the kind of quality career path you have been able to build for yourself. How were you able to initiate that kind of conversation?
All right. So, like I said earlier, rather, know what you want to do. Have a good track record. Don't wait for people to come and push you. Push yourself. Then reach out to people to support you in moving forward. You get. You just have to start something. Is there anything you know you want to do? Any aspect of nothing you want to go into? Is there something you are actually thinking of that? I want to go into this. How do I go about it? I think the first thing is not to reach out to a mentor to say, I want to go into this. I need you to mentor me. You have to do the assignment yourself.
Mm,
You have to know what you want to do part time. It doesn't make sense when you reach out to a mentor and say, I want to go into this, and be asking questions that you can literally get on Google. Be asking them
mm,
those kind of questions. It's kind of, and don't let me say annoying, but it's a bit irritating. It shows that you've not done your assignments. You're not ready. But when you
mm,
have a track record, you've already done something. You've done your assignments. You're just coming to them to ask questions, like reasonable questions that even they themselves they would think that, oh wow,